Is sugar really sweet poison? Are soft drinks the new cigarettes? Is butter making a comeback? Have a guess, I'm taking bets. Does red meat contribute to cancer? Is saturated fat good or bad? Is coconut oil the new superfood, or is that just another fad? Low fat or low carb? And how much protein should I eat? Do I have to count calories? And when do I get a treat? It'll have to be gluten-free, yeast-free, dairy-free or not. Sugar-free, wheat-free. Oh, forget it, I eat the lot. There's so much confusion and conflicting advice, I don't even know if I should eat a bowl of rice. Why is it so hard to shift the excess weight? Are we doomed to deprivation with just lettuce on our plate? Neuroscience says no. There's a much easier way. Pause and listen to what your body has to say. Pausing from the daily business of your life to come to this summit is the first step in rewiring your brain to regain your health, reboost your energy, and rewire and reshape your body if that's what you'd like to do. Pausing and actually becoming aware of your body is the first step in understanding what your body needs, understanding what heals it, and understanding what harms it. And in a moment, I'll explain what I mean by becoming aware of our body. Because no one diet, no specific way of eating suits us all. Each person's unique genetic makeup, unique composition of gut bacteria, unique immune responses, and the particular demands of your life, that's what determines what you need personally for your optimal health and functioning. Now, can I just check in with you? How many of you here have ever tried to lose weight? Okay. Keep your hand up if you've actually lost weight and regained it. Nonetheless, who'd like to have your ideal healthy body weight? You know, a body that you're really happy and comfortable with. And keep your hand up if at the same time you'd really like to enjoy eating. In fact, enjoy your whole life more than you've ever enjoyed it before. Terrific. Then you're all in the right place, because you are about to discover that losing weight is actually really easy. If you listen to the experts, all you need to do before putting anything in your mouth is know its percentage fat content and the type of fat it contains. You know, whether it's a monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, trans or saturated fat. Oh, and whether it raises or lowers cholesterol. And of course, whether it's the good or the bad cholesterol that's being raised. Look, you also need to know its glycemic index. Actually, more importantly, you need to be able to calculate its glycemic load, because there is a significant difference. It goes without saying, you have to know. It goes without saying, you have to know its total overall calorie count, its antioxidant score, also known as its oxygen radical absorption capacity. Sorry about this. Whether it has the Heart Foundation tick, oh no, now it's the new Healthy Star rating. Whether it's genetically modified, whether it's organically grown, whether you need to detox first, and whether it's safe to combine with whatever else you're putting into your mouth. So there you have it. Oh, hang on a minute. It's not really that simple, because there's another group of experts that claim you also need to know your body type, your blood type, your star sign, the state of your liver, your facial analysis, your genetic blueprint, where you are in your hormone cycle, and my very favourite, the trace mineral composition of your hair. But really, and now I'm being serious, it really isn't that complicated. I mean, how's the rest of the animal kingdom coping with this information overload? Can you imagine what's going on in a koala's head these days? Far out, which eucalyptus leaf has the lowest GI? And am I even eating the right leaves for my type? Have you ever noticed that the only overweight animals on the planet are actually domesticated cats and dogs? Why? Because we're the ones responsible for feeding them. We're supposedly the most intelligent of all species, yet we're the only ones in a complete spin about what to eat. So where does that leave us? Well, the CSIRO did a large comparative study looking at all the most popular diets. They compared, low fat, medium fat, fasting, all the celebrity diets, all the non-celebrity diets. And they followed people for a 12-month period. And they found, regardless of what diet you were on, even if it was just calorie counting, everybody lost roughly the same amount of weight within the first 6 months. Equally so, they found that everybody put on the same amount of weight in the next 6 months. And in fact, 98% of people who try to lose weight by going on a diet put it all back on within 12 months. And in fact, at the end of 5 years, most dieters have put on 15% more than they originally lost. So diets aren't the answer. You haven't failed diets. Diets have failed you because they have an inbuilt failure mechanism. And you only need to read prestigious medical journals, such as this one, to see evidence of this. Let me give you the example that's in this, and you can come and see me later and read it if you like. In 2014, Jenny Craig gave Magda Szubanski $850,000 to do their weight loss program. And she lost a significant amount of weight. Now I imagine if Leanne offered everybody here $850,000 when they left, you'd probably go a long way to improving your health as well. But then what happened? She actually regained all the weight. And Jenny Craig then offered her $1,250,000 to do it all again. Now that deal has since fallen through. But the point here is this: with all that financial, social, public incentive, Magda still couldn't keep the weight off. Why? Because the key factor in successful weight management has been ignored: our brain. The brain is actually our control centre. Every part of the body follows the signals and instructions sent out by the brain. Our metabolism, our hunger, our food choices, our motivation to exercise or not, our hormones, they are all regulated by the brain. So if we don't take into account what's going on in our brain, we're never going to get on top of the issue. And it reminds me of so many areas where we forget how important the brain is. Canada is a prime example. You know that in Canada, ice hockey is the major sport. And in the late 1890s, it became their national sport, and they realised it was a very dangerous sport. So very quickly, they invented what were known as ice hockey cups, or the shock doctor, which they strapped around their waist to protect the crown jewels from flying pucks. That's what they call the hockey balls. What really amazed me is it took them another 100 years to think of wearing a helmet to protect their brains. And it's a bit like that in other industries too. Now, I'm not denying that there are a lot of other pieces to the weight loss puzzle. You know, genes, gut bacteria, stress, sleep, exercise, food choices, all of that matters. But my point is that we have to start with the brain. Let me show you what happens if you try and change your body without changing your brain first. And I'll also explain what I mean by changing your brain. Imagine this hand represents your brain and this hand represents your body. And they're clearly connected, and I'm going to use this balloon to represent the connection between the two. Now, when you go on a diet and you start to lose weight, because your brain is sending out a particular set of signals to maintain that weight, to maintain the status quo, when you start to lose weight, it actually starts to create tension between your brain and your body. And the more weight you lose, the greater the tension, which means the more difficult it is to continue to lose weight, and the more difficult it is to even maintain the weight that you've lost. But you're determined. You will not put the weight back on. But guess what? This level of tension is simply not sustainable. And sooner or later, if your brain isn't on board, the weight will come back on. Now, it might creep back on slowly, or maybe you'll have some crisis in your life and the weight will come flying back on. Ouch. And it hurts. Next time I'll get a volunteer to hold up one side. But the point is this: you've got to get your brain into gear first, because if you change your brain first, it will actually guide your body in losing weight. And by that I mean your brain will start to send a new set of signals to your body, so that you actually find, you know what, I don't feel like junk food anymore. I actually have more energy. I want to exercise. My sugar cravings have gone. And you'll just find your metabolism speeds up. Now, it's not about you just going, oh, doing nothing and it'll fall off. The point of changing your brain first means that all those behaviours you struggled with, all those healthy choices that were really difficult in the past, suddenly become a lot easier because everything is in alignment. So that is what I'm going to talk about today, the power of mind over platter. And I give that the name neuroslimming, applying the latest discoveries in brain science to achieve effective, sustainable body fat reduction. So instead of a meal plan, let's start with a mind plan. And to kick things off, please turn to the person sitting next to you and give them your best smile. Lovely. Now, did you happen to notice who raised their eyebrows when they smiled? Next time, pay close attention, because researchers found if you raise your eyebrows when you smile, the other person will think you look more intelligent than if you hadn't raised your eyebrows. So I've been practicing. But even without the eyebrow raising, here's your first health tip. Whenever we smile, other people rate us as looking slimmer, smarter, and younger. So there's your first tip. So now that everyone in the room thinks everyone else in the room looks intelligent, please give each other a genuine, heartfelt compliment. And if you're sitting there thinking, but the person next to me doesn't know me, don't worry. Something pleasant about you has struck them, or they wouldn't be sitting next to you. 10 seconds each, just give each other a compliment. Okay, so now that we're all feeling good, I'm going to drop another bombshell. Now this is probably the most important thing you're going to hear all day. Losing weight is a flawed and unhealthy goal. Yes, I know, I've written a book about weight loss. The reason I say that is because losing weight is not the same as losing fat. Weight loss does not equal fat loss. When people go on a diet and lose weight, what happens? They lose muscle, they lose bone, they lose water. Yes, they also lose some fat. But what most people don't realise is that our muscle mass is critical to our health. It's not just about being strong and fast and being able to do more. Muscle is a metabolically active tissue. Think of your muscle as a factory that's producing good hormones that help your insulin work better, that actually reduce the risk of cancer, that reduce the risk of inflammation. So maintaining muscle mass is critical. And when people go on a diet and they start cutting calories, they're going to start to lose muscle, and that does not improve our health. Muscle is also more metabolically active than fat, so the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolic rate and the more calories that you can actually eat. Now, I'm not suggesting you've got to build up and look like a bodybuilder. I'm just saying maintaining healthy muscle mass is critical to good health. So if we're not going to focus on weight loss, and the other thing really quickly is, this is why I don't believe in measuring body mass index, because you can have two people with the same BMI, which is your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. So it's a comparison of weight and height. It doesn't tell you if you're healthy because it doesn't take into account your muscle mass and your bone structure. So do away with the bathroom scales, or keep them if you have to get on a plane and weigh your luggage. But I don't think bathroom scales are there for people to weigh themselves because it doesn't tell you how healthy you are. So instead, we need to be focusing on body fat. But I've got another caveat. Not all fat loss is equal either, because there are different types of fat in the body and they have actually different roles. There is fat under the skin, that's called subcutaneous. There is fat in and around your internal organs, that's called visceral. And they behave very differently. I think, as a blanket statement, the most important thing to recognise about fat is it's like real estate. What matters is location, location, location. The fat underneath your skin is actually not unhealthy. It's just a storage depot for excess calories. Unless you've got that much that you can't bend your elbow, the fat underneath our skin, which we're obsessed by, is not unhealthy. But the fat that coats your internal organs and actually infiltrates your internal organs, which we call visceral fat, that is not healthy fat, because that fat is the opposite of what your muscle does. It's another chemical factory, and it's churning out chemicals that increase inflammation, that reduce the way your insulin can work, that actually increases your risk of cancer. And you can actually be slim on the outside, but still have body fat infiltrating your organs. As George Bernard Shaw said, no diet will remove all the fat from your body because your brain is about 60% fat. Without a brain, you might look good, but all you could do was stand for public office. No offence intended. So, if I'm saying we throw out the bathroom scales, if I'm saying, don't focus on weight loss, then what do we have left to measure? What's going to be indicative of good health? I think the best measure is your exuberance, is feeling alive, is waking up full of energy and enthusiasm for the day. And if you must measure something, because we like to have sort of measurable goals, a tape measure. Tape measure around your waist is probably the most best way of assessing your risk of disease that we have, that you can do simply. So for a man, aim for less than a 90 centimetre waist, and for a woman, less than an man less than 94 centimetres, and a woman less than 80 centimetres. That's a rough guide, and don't get obsessed if you can't get down to those numbers. It's just that we've found that below those numbers, your risk of disease is very low, and above those numbers, your risk of disease starts to increase. If you want to get technical, you can have a DEXA scan, and that assesses your body fat and muscle ratio and gives you your body composition. It costs about $100. You don't need a referral from a doctor. But I just think really how you feel in your own skin is the most important thing. And another study actually found that women who carry more body fat actually live longer than the men who mention it. So let's start with our 8-step mind plan. The first step, I just want you to get up and have a little stretch. Wonderful. Because your first step in your mind plan is to get your daily HIIT. Who knows what HIIT stands for? High intensity interval training. Now, unbelievable as this sounds, even 30 seconds of exercise, 30 seconds, not 30 minutes, will actually improve your life. But it has to be as intense as you can make it. Now, if you haven't exercised for a very long time, just march on the spot. But if you have, when I say go, you're going to run as fast and as hard as you can for 30 seconds. Now, before you do it, I want to tell you how powerful this is. Researchers found that just 30 seconds of running fast and hard, or sitting on a bike, or moving around, dancing around for 30 seconds high intensity before every meal, when they measure your blood glucose levels after the meal, they're much lower than if you hadn't done that 30 seconds. That 30 seconds of exercise helps regulate your blood sugar levels. So who honestly doesn't have 1.5 minutes a day to dedicate to exercise? Like if you walk out of here and just make that commitment before breakfast, 30 seconds, run hard on the spot. Before lunch, 30 seconds. Before dinner, 30 seconds. Your blood sugar levels will improve, whether you have diabetes or not. Okay, so let's do it now. We're going to start 30 seconds, fast and hard, go. I can't do it, I've got heels. And it's going to feel like the longest 30 seconds of the day. That's 10 seconds. I told you. That's 20. 10 to go. Make it the best 10. And it'll warm you up too. Beautiful. And the other reason that this is part of your mind plan to get a daily HIIT is because whenever we exercise, the brain produces a chemical called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. And this factor actually stimulates the growth of new brain cells, and it halves our lifetime risk of dementia. So, that was number one. Just get your daily HIIT. Number two, focus on living, not dieting. Never go on another diet. And by diet, I mean calorie counting or restrictive eating. I don't mean choosing, not to eat gluten because you're gluten intolerant, gluten sensitive. That's a different story. Firstly, I've already told you that diets don't work, as you saw. But the other thing is diets mess with our mind. How do you know when somebody is living, not dieting? They will light up a room when they walk into it. How do you know when someone's dieting, not living? They light up a room when they walk out of it. And here are the three major ways that diets mess with our mind. What happens when you tell yourself, I'm never going to eat chocolate again? You want it all the more. And I call it the ex-boyfriend effect. You know when you break up with someone, it's good riddance, but the minute you see them with someone else, you want them back? It's human nature. The minute you tell yourself you can't eat something, you're going to want it all the more. So don't put any restrictions on yourself. And counterintuitive as that sounds, you'll feel like it less. The second thing about diets is this. You can't start a diet on a Wednesday, can you? Well, you can't. It has to be a Monday, or it has to be the first day of the month, or it has to be some significant day. So if you decide on a Wednesday that you're going to start the diet on Monday, what happens between Wednesday and Monday? Exactly, you binge on everything in the house because you think you're never going to eat it again. It's called, psychologists call it the Last Supper effect. So you put on more weight before you even start. And the third thing that happens is, let's just say you're chugging along on your diet really well. 4 weeks, you've been going really well. And then there's a birthday at work and they bring a chocolate mud cheesecake. And you tell yourself, I'm not going to have it because I'm on my diet. But you know, peer group pressure, so you do. Now, if you weren't on a diet, what would happen is you'd go home and you'd think, oh, I'm not that hungry tonight. That's right, I had that piece of cake. You self-regulate and you tend to eat less. But if you're on a diet and you had the chocolate mud cheesecake for lunch, you don't say that. You go, oh, what the hell? I blew it at lunch, so I might as well blow it at dinner. And you have another 3 pieces of chocolate mud cake because you snuck it home. So it does absolutely mess with our minds. The ex-boyfriend effect, the Last Supper effect, and the what the hell effect. If you don't go on a diet, you don't get these things happening. The third step in your mind plan is to lose the word lose. What do I mean by that? When you hear the word lose or loss, what's the knee-jerk emotion that comes up for you? Do you feel excited and motivated, or do you feel apprehensive and fearful? What does the word loss bring up? Negative emotions. Now, here's the most important piece of neuroscience you'll ever have to know. The brain seeks pleasure. Our ultimate driving force, sophisticated as we are, is the pursuit of pleasure. So any goal that's associated with fear, loss, negativity, or pain, which weight loss is, we're going to subconsciously resist it. So just drop that word out of your vocabulary. And the best example of this was at the 2005 World Global Medical Forum. Dr. Edward Miller presented a finding on 600,000 cardiac patients who'd all had severely clogged arteries and triple bypass surgery. And what these people were told is, look, your condition is so bad, if you don't change your life, if you don't sleep more, stress less, move more and eat less, you'll not survive for another 12 months. So they were given a very simple ultimatum: to change or die. Now, if I told you today, change or die, who here thinks, okay, that'd motivate me, I would change? What percentage of patients in real life change when they're told change or die? 10%. Only 10% of people change. Why? Because fear can initiate change, but fear does not sustain change. All of those patients changed for the first 3 weeks, and then slowly but surely they went back to their old ways. And when the interviewers went back and said, don't you realise we told you that if you continue this lifestyle you won't survive? And they were like, talk to the hand, it's all too hard, I don't want to know about it. It's not worth the effort. Not worth the effort to stay alive. So what will motivate us? It's moving towards a better life. There was a person in the audience, another doctor in the audience, who said, give me some people and I want to try and motivate them differently. And he didn't tell his patients, he was given 330 patients, he didn't tell his patients change or die. He told his patients, if you change, everything in your life will improve. What's important to you? You will work better, you will think better, you'll create better, you will relate better, you'll have a better sex life, you'll feel happy, you'll have more energy. That's what motivates people. So think about what do you want to gain rather than what do you want to lose. Use words that make you feel lighter and happier and freer. So right now, just turn to the person sitting next to you. If they gave you a dud compliment before, turn to the person on your other side and share with them how you can rephrase your goal without using the word loss. Just take half a minute to share. What is it you want to gain? What is it you want to gain in your life, in your health? We're not used to thinking that way. By all means, continue that conversation over lunch. Is this making sense, by the way? Okay, your fourth step is to use want power, not willpower. What do I mean by that? The Global Medical Weight Registration Council in the United States did a 9-year study to discover what was the secret of lifelong successful slimmers. That was, what's the secret of the 2% that do manage to shed excess body fat and keep it off. And they presented their findings after 9 years of research. And when they got up to a full auditorium, what did they say? What was the secret? They said, we didn't find a secret. We didn't find anything that everyone had in common. You know, their diets were as varied as their fingerprints. They all had different exercise regimes. Some did yoga, some did not. Some meditated, some did not. And there was a group of psychologists in the audience and said, you must have missed something. There's got to be something they had in common. And when they went back and re-interviewed people, they found the one thing that all the successful slimmers had in common. And it was a powerful why. They all had a compelling, lasting, motivating, powerful reason for wanting to achieve their goal. Friedrich Nietzsche said, he who has a powerful why can conquer any unknown how. Think about it, anything in your life, if you've got a big enough reason, you'll achieve it even if you have no idea why. No idea how you're going to get there. So again, I want you to turn to that person sitting next to you right now and fire off 5 reasons why you want to get healthier. 5 deep emotional reasons. I say to people, ask yourself why until you start to cry. Because it's got to be a meaningful reason for you. If your reason is, oh, because my doctor said that if I shed excess body fat, it'll lower my blood pressure. Does that motivate you? If it doesn't excite you, it's not a powerful enough reason. So, just with each other, 5 reasons that you'd like to be slimmer or healthier or whatever it is you'd like to do in terms of your health. 10 seconds to share 5 reasons. Go. By the end of the day, I'd just like to ask you to write down your 5 reasons and keep adding to them till you get to 50 reasons. Then you'll be on your way, then you'll be unstoppable. Your 5th step in your mind plan is focus on why you're eating before you focus on what you're eating. What do I mean by that? Studies have actually found that 30% of eating is non-hungry eating. We don't eat because we need physical energy or because we need nutrition. We're eating because we're sad, angry, bored, lonely, in love, out of love, procrastinating, commiserating. We eat for a myriad of reasons other than the physical hunger. And that's when we make poor choices. If you eat only when you're physically hungry, you are much more likely to make a healthy choice. If you eat when you're emotional or comfort eating, that's when we make less good choices. Has anyone ever broken up with somebody, had a really, really gut-wrenching breakup? At that time, do you remember ever thinking, I know what'll cheer me up? A nice plate of Brussels sprouts. Probably not. So my message here is, if you're genuinely physically hungry, eat. But if you're not hungry and you recognize that you're eating for emotional reasons, try and give yourself whatever it is you need. Whether it's ringing a friend, a walk in the park, just doing nothing. So the most powerful question you can ask yourself before you reach for food, whether it's a snack, whether it's a meal, even today before lunch, ask yourself, am I really hungry, or do I just want to change how I'm feeling? Or is it just that I'm eating out of habit, or am I just bored? It is the most powerful question you'll ever ask yourself. And if you aren't hungry, and if you just want to cheer yourself up, I think the most powerful thing is giving ourselves permission to do nothing, because we live in such a frantic world that we think we have to be productive all the time. So I better just have something to eat because I don't want to I don't think that I deserve a break. Okay, and the next step in your mind plan follows straight on. When you taste more, you will actually need less. People believe that they overeat because something tastes too good. The opposite is actually true. We overeat when we're not tasting enough. If you fully engage all your senses, you'll actually be satisfied much, much sooner. And this is where becoming aware of your body comes in. I want you to close your eyes just for a moment and become aware of your hands. Close your eyes and just bring your attention to your hands. Can you feel an energy, a tingling, a something? How do you know that you have hands when you close your eyes? Now shift that awareness to your stomach. How does it feel in your tummy? Are you hungry now? Are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling satisfied? Give yourself a brief body scan every day and just check in on how you feel. And before every meal, tune into your body and ask yourself, do I really need food, and what is it that I most want? And that is so empowering, because you'll start to realize what agrees with you, what doesn't, what you need to eat, how much you need to eat. But to do that, whenever you eat, don't be doing anything else. Don't be driving and eating. Don't drive and eat. Don't be watching TV. Don't be playing computer games. Don't be checking your SMS. Don't be sending an email. Don't be having an argument with your mother. Don't be reminiscing about your ex-boyfriend. Don't be berating yourself for your food choices. And don't be contemplating the diameter of your thighs. Just eat and fully engage. Smell the food. Really taste the food and really feel how it feels inside you. Then you don't need somebody else to tell you what to eat and how much to eat. You'll figure it out, you'll know instinctively, but it takes practice. And remember that the first mouthful is always the best. Studies on people have gone around and given them a dessert, and they blindfolded them. They gave them 5 desserts and they said, rate these in order of which one's the best. And everybody always rated the first dessert as tasting the best, but in fact, they were all the same. The first mouthful is always the best, so really savour it. Number 7, I know my time's up, 2 more minutes and we're there, is to understand that all your food choices are a reflection of your values, not your virtues. And what I mean by that is, have you noticed that we tend to talk about food choices and exercise in moralistic terms? How often have you heard somebody say, or have you said yourself, I was really good last week, I went to the gym every day. I was really bad yesterday, I ate junk food for lunch. Your choosing junk food for lunch isn't a reflection of whether you're good or bad. It's a reflection of what is most important to you in any given moment. If you're choosing junk food, what that says to me is other things are more important to you. You just don't have time to prioritise your health. You do have time for the things that are important to you. So at that moment, something else is more important. So don't beat yourself up about it. This is how we can change. Have you ever been to a party and you're feeling a bit tired and a bit over it all, and suddenly they put on your favourite song and your tiredness seems to fly out the window and you just have to get up and dance? Well, getting up and going for it in life works the same way. What songs are playing inside your head that either motivate you or demotivate you to take the best care of yourselves? Because you know what, for the most part, we know the choices that are healthy and the choices that aren't. I've never had anyone say to me, oh, I had no idea that a Big Mac and fries wasn't a top nutritional choice. Now that you've told me, I'll never eat Macca's again. You know, we know that. I've never had somebody say to me, I didn't know exercise was a good idea. Now that you've told me, I'll sign myself up for a year's worth of personal training. We know we should be skipping rope, not skipping meals. Why don't we? Because we aren't playing the right songs in our heads. In other words, what do you need to tell yourself that will make you feel really excited about getting fit and healthy? Not excited like that, but excited like this. What will make you jump up and really feel, not think, feel, hey, my health really is the most important thing, because without that, I have nothing. Why are we sacrificing our health for anything else in our lives? Now, in all my years of medical practice, and I'm talking more than almost 30 years, I know looking at me you're probably thinking 3 years, but it's been 30, I've noticed that all the things that stop people looking after themselves actually boil down to just 3 songs. And the first of those songs, and it's not, I'm too tired, I'm too busy, I don't have time. That's what it seems like, but it all boils down to the following 3 things. The first song is, and think about which one is yours, I don't actually believe that being in peak health will make that much difference to my life. People aren't sold on the value of their health. Run down is the new normal. Everyone's tired all the time. When I talk about feeling, having great energy and vitality and exuberance, people say to me, what planet are you from? Nobody feels exuberant. Everybody's run down, bogged down, and lately also stood down. It's just a fact of life. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not a fact of life. It's a collective choice that we as a society have made, that it's acceptable not to feel great. It's acceptable to feel tired all the time. And the real tragedy is people have forgotten that it's even possible to feel great. And I'm here to tell you that it changes everything. It's not about living longer, it's about every day feels better when you're feeling exuberant, when you're feeling at your best. The second song that stops people looking after themselves is the song, I'm not important enough. Now that's not how they phrase it, but that's what people mean when they say, I have to make personal sacrifices for my children, my parents, my work, I can't let them down. But you know what? If you're letting you down, you are letting other people down. Because what do people remember most about you? It's not what you say, it's not what you do, it's how you make them feel. People are inspired by our vitality, not our productivity. The greatest gift you can give to everybody in your life is your life force, your zest, your exuberance. The greatest gift you can give your children is to set a healthy example for them. Happiness, health, it's not a selfish pursuit, because the happier you feel, the happier you make other people feel. And when we start looking after ourselves, we give other people permission to look after themselves. And the third song that stops people looking, yes, I know my time's up. I'm sorry. Can you give me another 2 minutes? Just to wrap it up. The third song that stops people looking after themselves is the song, I don't actually believe it's possible for me to have more energy, for me to shed excess body fat. I've tried everything and it doesn't work. Well, that's why you're here today, to see that it is possible. It is possible to feel better. But you know what stops people? Impatience. Most people stop just before they hit their goal. Do you know that if you plant a bamboo seed, for 4 years, there is no visible growth. You see nothing. And then in the 5th year, it grows over 20 meters. We live in this world that just wants a quick fix. But if you just wait long enough and you chip away at those healthy behaviors, I guarantee you'll get there. Just keep going. So, to wrap up, think about what might be your song. These are the 3 songs. What's stopping you? Is it the song, I don't believe that being in peak health will actually make that much difference to my life? Is it the song, I'm not important enough? Or is it the song, I don't believe it's possible? Or is it all 3? I want you to be able to answer that question by the end of the day. Finally, your 8th step, final step, is get real about each meal. What do I mean by that? I think the elephant in the room is that a lot of what we're eating is not actually food. How do we define food? Food is defined as something that provides nutrition to the body for its optimal growth, repair and healing. There is so much out there that just because something is edible doesn't mean it's food. So much of what we put into our bodies is actually destroying our bodies. So the best piece of nutritional advice I can give you is just to get off processed food. Australians spend $40 billion a year on fast food and junk food. And today, by the time a child is 8 years old, they've had more sugar in their life than the average person had a century ago. That's the problem. So, the most profound dietary advice I can give you is this. All the food that you eat needs to be from the land, from the sea, from the sky, or from a tree. Not from a packet, not from a tin. If it comes in a box, I'd throw it in the bin. So my ultimate message to you is not to starve your body, but to feed your spirit. Thank you very much.